Welcome to The Explainer. We're all talking about generative AI, but what about keeping it secure? That's what we're tackling today. We're going to be digging into a really insightful white paper from AWS to figure this all out. So let's just get right to it. That AI assistant you love, could it be working against you without you even knowing? It's a scary thought, right? Because here's the deal. Generative AI it's a total game changer. But it's also opened up this whole new world of dangers that our old security playbooks, well, they're just not built for this. It's like we're exploring a totally new planet. Our old maps just don't work anymore. We need a whole new set of rules. All those traditional security measures we've relied on for years, things like network firewalls, perimeter protection, they're just not going to cut it for these new, really unique AI systems. Right, so don't get me wrong, those old methods are still important. They're like the foundation, but they are just not enough. They don't even begin to cover these brand new types of attacks that are specific to GenAI. We're talking about some really clever, sophisticated stuff, like prompt injection, we'll get into that in a second, and model poisoning. And what that is attackers deliberately messing with the training data to make the AI go haywire. It's wild. And to fight this stuff, you need a completely fresh way of thinking. Okay, so before you just jump into the deep end, every single organization out there needs a map. It's that simple. And your map, well, it starts with one fundamental question. What are you actually going to do with this AI? And really, it all comes down to a pretty simple choice. Are you going to buy an AI solution that's already built, or are you going to build your own? A buyer or a builder? That one decision right there completely changes the game for your security strategy and where you need to put your focus. And this matrix here, it lays out that whole spectrum perfectly. On one side, you've got the simple stuff, just using consumer apps. And on the far other end, you're literally building these massive, complex models from scratch. And you can see, as you move along that scale from buying to building, your security responsibilities, man, they just skyrocket with every single step. So if you're one of those builders, there's this super important strategy you gotta know. It's called shifting security left. And what that really means is you stop treating security like the final boss you have to beat at the end of the level. Instead, you bring them in from day one. They become part of the team, embedded with the data scientists and developers. It's all about making security a shared thing, not just some final annoying checkbox. All right, so we've got our map. Now we can start looking out for the monsters. Let's talk about the specific dangers lurking out there. And I gotta say, some of these are, well, they're pretty clever. Okay, first step is something called indirect prompt injection. And this is really sneaky. Imagine an attacker plants a malicious command inside a totally normal-looking document or web page. When your AI goes to process that data, bam, it gets hijacked and starts doing whatever the attacker wants. So what does that actually look like? Well, picture this. You ask your AI assistant to summarize a web page for you. Seems harmless, right? But what you don't know is that hidden in the text of that page is a little command, something like this one here. The AI, just trying to be helpful, reads it and might just do it. It could send your private data to a complete stranger and you would have no idea. Okay, now this next risk is a big one, and it doesn't come from some shadowy hacker in a basement. Nope, it comes from inside your own walls. It's called shadow GenAI. This is what happens when your employees, probably with the best of intentions, start using those public free AI tools for work stuff. They're just trying to be productive, but they could be accidentally leaking super sensitive company data without even realizing it. So what do you do about that? Well, the paper suggests a really smart two-part solution. The first part, don't just bring down the ban hammer, because that almost never works. Instead, give your people powerful, approved AI tools that they'll actually want to use. Then, for part two, you build really good monitoring systems so you can see if anyone is using unapproved stuff. Okay, enough about the scary stuff. Let's talk about the good news, how we can actually build up our defenses. The white paper lays out a fantastic toolkit of best practices to help us fortify our AI against all these threats. And you know what? A lot of it starts with getting back to basics, these timeless core security principles. First off, the principle of least privilege. Basically, give users and systems the absolute bare minimum access they need to do their job and nothing more. Second, data isolation. Don't let the AI see any more data than it absolutely has to for the task at hand. And third, defense in depth. Never, ever rely on just one security measure. You need layers, so if one fails, you've got backups. And when it comes to designing systems you can actually trust, the strategy is basically a three-step recipe for reliability. Step 1. Use a modular architecture. That way, if one piece breaks, it doesn't take the whole system down with it. Step 2, build in validation layers. Think of these as little checkpoints that are constantly double-checking the AI's work before it ever gets to a user. And step 3, and this one is so important, always have a human in the loop. You need real human oversight for those critical or low-confidence decisions. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? At the end of the day, it's not just about a checklist of new tools. It's about a complete shift in how you think about security. It's about being agile and proactive. And here's the key idea to wrap your head around. A really strong security foundation isn't a roadblock. It's not something that slows you down. It's actually the opposite. It's an accelerant. It's what gives you the confidence to adopt AI safely and really unlock its power. Good security actually enables innovation. Look, by embracing this whole journey, the exploration and the defense, organizations can tap into the absolutely incredible potential of AI. And that really just leaves us all with one final question to think about.